This video is brought to you by channel partner 4 years running Squarespace. Their long-term support is helping me live my dream career, just like they help millions of other people with their dream careers, their personal projects, their hobbies, their community building. It all happens through Squarespace's intuitive website creation and hosting tools. So to learn more about them, stick around to the end of the video. Okay, first things first, if you own a PS5, do not watch this video. Do not watch any videos about Astro Bot. Just go out and buy Astro Bot and come back when you have finished. You're only allowed to watch this video if you have already finished Astro Bot, because Astro Bot is one of those impossibly rare experiences where the surprise is half the point, and robbing yourself of any of it is to lose something you just can't get back. So please, go and buy Astro Bot. Buy 2 copies, one for yourself and one for someone you care about. I promise you it'll be the best gift they get all year long. At the same time, I'm a realist. I know some of you will not just go out and buy a game sight unseen because some random nerd told you to. For you, worry not. We will very briefly review Astro Bot here, but I'll do my level best to avoid as many spoilers as I reasonably can. I have to show you some stuff, but I'll keep it to a minimum because, like I said, I am stealing something from you with every new frame of gameplay or new mechanic I show you, and such a terrible burden weighs heavily on me. Recently, Hiroki Totoki, the co-CEO of PlayStation, said on the 30th anniversary of PlayStation that the PlayStation did not have enough original IP, to which Team Asobi responded, "Oh really?" Difficult to imagine a more thunderous rebuke of Totoki's puzzling comment than an entire video game based on Sony's rich library of first-party IP. So rich that huge swathes of it just couldn't be included in this game because there was just too much of it. Astro Bot is, on the surface at least, a celebration of 30 years of play, and it feels rather serendipitous that it should be made by a studio whose name literally means play. In less deft hands, Astro Bot might have been a cautionary tale about the risks of trying to turn a brand into a character, or building a universe out of a portfolio. Sure, we fondly remember Pepsi Man, but not for any reasons relating to its virtues as a video game. There was every chance that Astro Bot could and likely should have been some awkward, cynical IP play, resting on the laurels of Easter eggs and member berries and nostalgia bait to extract a few upfront dollars and fill a slot in PS Plus's monthly giveaway lineup. But I'm not lying when I say to you that Astro Bot being based on PlayStation IP is actually totally incidental to the genius of this game, to the point where you could completely remove all of the PlayStation stuff from it and it would still be an extraordinary video game. Yes, it is very nice to find cutesied up versions of Snake and Psycho Mantis out in the wild, and yes, it is extremely fun to visit entire levels based on iconic PlayStation IPs. But these things represent like 8% of the total thrills that Astro Bot has to offer, and as awestruck as I am by this game, I am almost more awestruck by how its inherent brilliance outshines the expansive library of IP on which it is ostensibly based. Astro Bot is the story of Astro Bot. He and his Astro buddies were cruising through space in the HMS PS5 when suddenly an alien wrecks their ship, scattering important components to different galaxies and displacing hundreds of Astro buddies along the way. Astro Bot must now travel aboard his PS5 DualSense life raft to visit each galaxy, rescue as many Astro buddies as he can, and reclaim each component so that he can rebuild the PS5 just in time for it to be replaced by the PS5 Pro. Astro Bot is a classic old-school platformer like we used to get all the time back in the PS1 and PS2 era, but that fell out of vogue in the PS3, PS4, and PS5 eras. Nintendo has, of course, been carrying the torch ever since then, and frankly speaking, Nintendo's dominance of this genre has been nearly unchallenged for some 2 decades. I'd say the closest anyone's come since then was It Takes Two, which just so happened to win Game of the Year back in 2022. Even Toys for Bob's fantastic Crash 4 It's About Time, or Insomniac's excellent Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, did not rival the likes of Odyssey, Sunshine, or Galaxy. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, Team Asobi have waltzed into Nintendo's court and put serious points on the board, and it really makes me lament the fact that we don't get more games like this from publishers big and small. And just so we're super clear, Ubisoft, that is an invitation to make more Rayman games, not an invitation to make more Rabbids games. Rabbids, the minions of the video games industry, only somehow more annoying. Anyway, I digress. Astro Bot ticks every hygiene factor tick box associated with great 3D platformers. It controls perfectly, it's brimming with personality and charm, it's full of diverse locations and mechanics, it's endlessly creative with the scenarios it throws at you, it has dozens of thrilling, spectacle-infused, larger-than-life 3D boss showdowns, it has it all. Think of all the truly great 3D platformers you've ever played, think of the #1 reason why you loved those games as much as you did. I promise you that Astro Bot has either a little or a lot of that same thing. For me though, there were a few things that truly stood out that made Astro Bot feel like nothing else I'd ever played. More so than any other platformer, I'd argue more so than any other game full stop, Astro Bot feels like its entire world is pointed at you. Each segment within each level feels like a theater production that is paused until the moment of your arrival, at which point someone yells action and it all springs to life. Every enemy, every friendly critter, every Astro Buddy, every breath of wind or blade of grass, it all feels like it's performing for an audience of one. You. Other games build worlds that feel rather indifferent to the existence of the player, like the platforms are gonna keep spinning if you're there or not, but Astro Bot's worlds feel like they'd cease to exist if you weren't there to give them purpose. Everything you encounter arches like a stroked cat when you deign to interact with it, be it by walking over it, or jumping on it, or punching it, or just looking at it. This feeling comes from the fact that every object, be it a flower, or a barrel, or a sheet of ice, or a tree, or whatever, all of it is designed to trigger some sort of feedback when you interact with it. Flowers will not only bend when you walk over them, but also produce a subtle sound from the DualSense speaker. A sheet of ice will send Astro Bot into a graceful glide, complete with fitting sounds from the DualSense, and a unique haptic feedback that somehow magically manages to communicate the feel of a single steel blade slicing through a sheet of ice. I really firmly believe that there's never been a game where so much of the world is not only visually dense, but also so painstakingly animated, but also so thoroughly sound designed, but also brought to life with a kind of kinesthetic signature that only the PS5 DualSense is capable of delivering. And the DualSense is so central to this experience. It's not a gimmick. It's never ever been a gimmick. It's just been a case of we haven't had enough games that are able to make use of this controller. Like in Final Fantasy 16, you get feedback on the triggers when you open a locked gate. Like who cares? Nobody. But here, when it's raining, Astro Bot puts up a little plastic umbrella over his head, and the DualSense speaker emits this very subtle sound of like tiny raindrops falling on a plastic sheet, and the controller pulsates with the gentle pitter-patter that we might feel when we hold an umbrella in our hand in real life. When I interviewed the game's director, Nicholas Doucet, he told me that the team wanted Astro Bot to feel like a toy. And when he said that, I was like, oh my god, yes, now I get it. I couldn't quite find the words to describe why the physical feeling of Astro Bot was so important to the experience, but that was it. It does feel like playing with an actual toy, something you could pick up and that made unique sounds when you did things, something that felt like childhood, for real. There are multiple instances in this game where there are just hundreds of individual objects laying around like gems or leaves or bricks or whatever, and they don't do anything, but whenever I discovered one of these spots, I'd always do the spinning attack thing just to feel the sensation of just like playing, you know what I mean? Like playing around in a sandpit or in a ball pit. Yes, that is it. Astro Bot feels like diving into a ball pit. Kids get to do this all the time, but we grown-ass adults can't do that without getting put on a list. Astro Bot is that joy manifest. It is so wonderful, so inventive, and so playful, and so technically accomplished, and it appears so effortless in everything that it does. It's one of the finest games this generation, it's one of the finest platformers ever made, it is a beautiful celebration of PlayStation's rich legacy without over-egging the pudding, and supported by the unique technology of the DualSense controller, it makes the impossible leap from what you can see and hear to what you can also feel. Astro Bot is a certified all-timer. I very strongly recommend it to you. I want to take a moment to offer a very special thanks to this video's sponsor, Squarespace. It's no exaggeration to say that Squarespace were instrumental in my ability to go full-time on YouTube. 4 years ago now, they signed as a long-term sponsor for the channel. That gave me the confidence to quit my job and take a crack at this full-time. No word of a lie, Squarespace backed me early, and with that support, I was able to make a go of it. 4 years later, I'm still here, and I'm endlessly thankful for their support because I wouldn't be here without them. But that's kind of Squarespace's whole deal. They help people turn their dreams into reality. Many of you will have some sort of hobby or passion that you'd like to pursue as a career, but it's hard to know where to begin. Well, a lot of the time, a website is a really good place to start. If you're a photographer, a website is where you can showcase your portfolio. If you're a career counselor, then a website is going to be how people can find you and learn about what you do. If you sell custom designed clogs, then a website is going to be your shop front. Whatever it is you want to do, Squarespace's tools can help make it happen. Their intuitive website creation tools do not require any sort of background in web design. You just log in, select a template, customize it quickly and easily, and in no time at all, you've got yourself a professional looking website. What about booking appointments for clients? Well, Squarespace supports that too, with their calendar and booking features. What about e-commerce and payments? Well, yeah, of course, Squarespace supports that as well, meaning you can set up an online storefront in no time at all. There's so much more, from advanced SEO tools to detailed analytics, and all of it is so easy to use. That's how Squarespace manages to help so many people realize their dreams. They break down the technology barrier, allowing you to immediately connect with customers and clients so you can build the business or career you've always wanted. To get started, visit squarespace.com, and if you want to get serious, visit squarespace.com/skillup to get 10% off your purchase of a website or a domain name. A huge thank you to Squarespace for their many, many years of support. Looking forward to many more ahead.